Welcome back to Leeds Lately. Today's video is going to be about another player that Leeds are apparently interested in signing as a Somerville replacement. But before we don't go on to talk about that, make sure you hit that big red button down below. Now, Milian Manhoef is the player in question now. And over the last sort of 24, 48 hours, Leeds have started to be linked with the Norwich City winger. Now, he actually only came to Norwich City in January of last season from Vitesse Arnhem in the Dutch league. He joined Stoke City. Sorry, we've been talking about Jonathan Rowe so much, I'm saying Norwich City all the time. Joined Stoke City and scored 4 goals and got 1 assist in 14 games, only 9 of which he started. So a decent contribution. We're going to talk a little bit about the type of player he is and then maybe a little bit of his statistics as well. He's been compared to give you a little bit of an idea. Now, I don't know if you watched this video I made last year saying that we should sign Osam Sirawi, who was in the Dutch league, I believe, at the time, but has now been signed by Lille. So obviously he has a big ceiling. So he's been compared to some decent players like that. When we actually go on to kind of look at what type of player he is, he's not massively impressed me, but there are a few things about his game which I do like. I like the way that he often likes to cut inside. He likes to take on people. It's bared out in the statistics as well, to be fair, with his progressive carries, 4.47 per 90, puts him in the 86th percentile for wingers and attacking midfielders. So he likes to carry the ball forward and successfully take on players as well. He's a very skillful, tricky winger. Successful take-ons 2.35 per 90, which puts him in the 85th percentile as well. So he likes to take a man on. He likes to go past someone. He likes to dribble with the ball as well. And I think those are some good things to have as a winger in a Leeds United team. Positionally, he likes to kind of start out and come inside, not necessarily in the kind of middle phase of the attack. It's more in the final phase. So when he's actually out by the corner flag, that type of area in line with the box is when he likes to then get the ball out on the wing and then try and cut inside and either get a curled shot away to the far post or try and cross the ball into the box as well. He does like to make runs in behind. He likes to open up that space and try and force the ball down his side so he can get one-on-one versus the fullback, which is kind of his best thing, and try and play the ball across the box. So a lot of the stuff for him playing for the Netherlands under-21s team, for him for Vitesse, and then a little bit from Stoke City. And I think with Stoke City, there was a little bit of not a baptism of fire, but things slowed down a little bit for him, I think, when he came to the Championship compared to playing in the Dutch League and in the youth international kind of scene. He seems like he was a little bit more free-flowing back there. But he did come to Stoke City, who didn't do very well last season. They did struggle, and perhaps in a team like Leeds United, he might do a lot better than that. I think he's an above average Championship winger, but he's not exactly Somerville replacement territory, if you will. I feel like this would be somewhat underwhelming in terms of who we could have brought in. Now, this isn't necessarily guaranteed, and the price is kind of way up there for what it should be, I think. Transfermarkt rate him around 3.5 million euros. But apparently Stoke City are asking for 8 to 10 million pounds, which is a lot higher than that. I reckon the truth will be somewhere in the middle. Perhaps a 7 million, 8 million pound move to get him out of the club would potentially do the trick. But I don't think we should give up on Jonathan Rowe. If we can get him for 12 to 13 million pounds ish, it seems like Norwich City are standing steady on that one and are trying to say, yeah, if you want Jonathan Rowe, you're going to have to pay 15 million. We might be able to get it from a little bit less, but I think Jonathan Rowe's the one to go with. Anyway, we'll talk more about Million Manhoef. Now, when he came into Stoke, he obviously, like I said, scored 4, assisted 1. I've had a look at the types of goals he scores, and a lot of them, like I said, are cutting out to in. He does sometimes find himself in the middle of the pitch as well, which is something that is a positive for me, just because of the way that Leeds play and the way that a lot of our attacking players like to swap around and kind of have a little bit of a fluid movement in terms of Jorginho might drift out to the right, Nonto might be in the number 10 for a couple of minutes, vice versa. So I think Million Manhoef is somebody who certainly can find himself in the middle of the pitch making a run through on goal. I think he could play off the right, which is his preferred position. So actually more in the Dan James position than what the Somerville position would be. But he can also play off the left as well. I think he's certainly capable of doing that. Not so sure about him as a number 10 with that kind of fluidity that we like to have. He looks to me a lot more like an out-and-out winger. But that is to say, he will cut inside, he will try to create opportunities, and he will try to score as well. And he takes a lot of shots, 3.02 per 90, puts him in the 88th percentile. So he's often trying to squeeze himself a shot. Now, sometimes this kind of statistic can be taken with a little bit of a pinch of salt. I think sometimes last season he was not guilty of, but he found himself doing it a lot, was okay, Stoke aren't going to create anything here. We haven't got that many creative players. We're not looking like creating anything. I'm going to do it myself. Hence him carrying the ball, taking on people so much and having so many shots. I think he was unlucky not to score more goals than he did. He hit the bar a couple of times with some really, really good moves. And he played the ball across the box as well, but his assists are down there for somebody of his position. Expected assisted goals is... So, look, we can talk about actual assists. So, actual assists, he got one last season, puts him in a 0.08 per 90, which puts him in the 13th percentile. So that's really, really low. But I think the key telling one is expected assisted goals. Now, people will go, oh no, XG, expected assists, all these things. I think it gives you an idea, even if you don't fully put stock in it, it does give you an idea of how many chances somebody is actually creating. So his expected assisted goals is 0.38, which puts him in the 51st percentile. Sorry, actually, no, it's 0.13, which puts him in the 33rd percentile. So it's not that much better than his assists. It's not that much better, but it is a little bit better. You are creating more chances than are actually being scored, and that can be due to the quality of the strikers that you've got. This also comes down to his shot creating actions. This is one I always like to look at. So it's the pass that leads to a shot, or the pass before that leads to a shot. So a good measure of how involved you are in attacking play. 4.07 per 90 for Milian Manhoef puts him in the 66th percentile. So way above average. He's creating chances in a team that doesn't create that many chances. So I think genuinely in that kind of sphere of thinking, he would be decent for Leeds. He's not giving me the tingles, if that doesn't sound very weird. You know what I mean, though? When you see a player that you think Leeds are going to sign and you think, this guy, you can just tell he's going to do great things for Leeds if he signs. A Jonathan Rowe, for me, would be that kind of guy. Million Manhoef, he seems like a fallback. He seems like a secondary option, and I think we would be overpaying for him if we were to pay that much for him. Now, if you were to say to me that we could take this player for £5 or £6 million, yeah, I think you take him. I think you go, do you know what? That's good backup. He's better than the rumour that's been going around that we might be taking Jayden Anthony back on loan. I think I would rather have this guy a little bit more dynamic, a little bit quicker. He is quite quick as well. He does like to get in behind. And like I said, skillful, pacey, takes people on, creates a few shots, and takes a lot of shots himself. So I think, look, Daniel Farke could make it work. I think Daniel Farke could definitely make it work with this guy. If you can get him drifting in and drifting inside, cutting inside and getting in those half spaces and making runs through there whilst you've got a Bogle making an overlap out there, I think this is the type of guy who could finish his chances in those situations, either by cutting the ball across the goal for somebody else to score or for him shooting himself. I certainly think that he's got that in the locker to be able to fill those half spaces, which Daniel Farke likes to exploit so much. So I think he's got that, but it's not worth the money for me, the rumoured money. So I think if it was £4, £5 or £6 million, I think I'd go, do you know what? Okay, let's take him. Let's mould him into a better player. But then when you go up to the Premier League, is he good enough? If we go up to the Premier League, is he good enough? These are the kind of questions that we need to be asking ourselves. So it remains to be seen what happens on this one. This is just kind of a player profile, so you get a little bit more information on what kind of player he is. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Now, things may change by the time this goes out. I'm recording this on the day of the Middlesbrough game, so only yesterday to what you're seeing this. So things could change in the whole world of Leeds United. But as it stands, this is a player that we've been linked with. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thanks for watching Leeds Lately, and I'll see you in the next one.